The member from Halliburton Corporation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of the Status of Women. Today is Pay Equity Day, which marks 30 years since the unanimous passage of Ontario's Pay Equity Act. Unfortunately, we haven't been making much progress on pay equity under this Liberal government. On average, women in Ontario are paid 30% less for doing the same work as men, a gap that is only 6% smaller than it was at the time of the Act's passage. Despite these worrying statistics, this government has ignored this issue until last year, when all they did was strike yet another committee. Even now, the story has been one of delay and endless consultation rather than action. So my question to the minister is, why has it taken this government almost 14 years to admit that they need to address pay equity in this province?
The Minister of the Status of Women.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I am pleased to rise today and speak on Pay Equity Day on what I think is a very important issue. First off, I want to point out to the member opposite that this is the side of the House that actually took action on this. With the Premier's assignment of a Ministry of the Status of Women and the first standalone minister responsible for early years and childcare, we are taking actual concrete steps towards closing the gender wage gap. And the #1 recommendation on from the steering committee on closing the gender wage gap was to invest in childcare. And guess what? We're doing that. We are transforming the way we are delivering childcare. We have committed to creating 100,000 new licensed childcare spaces over the next 5 years, doubling what we already have. But that's not all. I'm very happy to talk about more of the work that we are doing.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Back to the minister. This government likes to talk a big game on this file, but they are living in a bubble of self-delusion. Hear, hear. The reality on the ground is that the situation of working women remains largely unchanged under their watch, and that is simply unacceptable. The government only appointed a dedicated Status of Women minister this past January, I guess because it's 2017. As I mentioned, the House yesterday, all the government has done is strike a closed-door committee on pay equity to further review the recommendations already made by an expert committee reported on pay equity in 2016. Delay and inaction is the name of this government's game, but Ontario women aren't fooled. So my question to the minister is, will the government take responsibility for their inaction and admit that it has no real plan to help working women in Ontario finally achieve equality in the workplace?
Thank you. Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And, I find it surprising that the member opposite is actually talking about inaction when I haven't seen any action from that side of the House on this issue over the history of this province. Let me tell you, day in and day out, I sit in this House and listen to the criticism that is lobbed from that side of the House to us. Well, let me tell you something. We are doers. We are acting on this file. We are solving the issue. So,
Finish, please.
I am working closely with my colleague, the Minister of Labour, when it comes to closing the gender wage gap, and this includes the pay equity issue. In fact, Ontario has made great strides when it comes to improving women's economic empowerment. We are leaders in this field. Our commitments to end sexual